Section again. चांगली झाली. Do my Johnson knowledge of knowledge that I then on the shape that any important is I'm not doing it. It's still under it was not that. So we go. Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to tell you the first meeting. You told them at Thursday evening. Spelling to SO every try so hard. And you think, oh, it's a lucky man. So I was like, okay, very good. मैंने तो बहुत सारी जगह के नाम बोले मुझे जानकर उसमें से एक था
My boss name was like Globalisation. I know your name. Tell me about it. He's talking. Nothing.
if once you start knowing about it, as far as I know, class के बीच में एक टॉपिक है पॉवर्टी का ठीक है इंग्लिश में अच्छा ठीक है समझ में आता है तो काम नहीं करना लेकिन उन लोग तो अपना प्रोफाइल कलर में even that way not getting answers for that but it was like he's a good guy was directed over he's really good at this
Poverty started back.
टॉपिक भी कैसे शुरू हुआ था ज्योग्राफी क्लास चल रहा है मैम ने पूछा कि these beggars we don't pay them या पे भी करते हैं और हम लोग बोलते हैं कि कुछ काम करना चाहिए लेकिन ऐसा फिर मैं बस पैसा नहीं देते तो बस करना मतलब कहते हैं आते हैं Thursday to Friday को आया था शायद अंदर entry था फिर काम हुआ उस and
He beats it or kids in the bed over there. And the melon. Starting में सब कुछ करना हम लोग का ओवर हेक्टिक होता है पीरियोडिक टेस्ट होता है बेसिकली उसके बीच में एनुअल डे प्रैक्टिस होता है एनुअल डे हुआ मतलब कुछ लॉकडाउन के पहले ऐसा होता कि आज खत्म होगा आज एनुअल डे है रात में सिलेबस आ गया नेक्स्ट वीक फाइनल एग्जाम and school is like and after annual day everything is hectic.
Annual day when it is
February.
February. It should be early. Means, especially from 9th standard and 12th standard.
Even when it's in February, now the practice they do it from November. So from November to January, have no studies.
Should be that way. The children should get a relaxed way. That it is like a board exam, 11, 10, and 12. Let that up to 8th standard and all enjoy.
In 9th standard, we can have this class. But this year they're saying 10th also.
Time, no? So this much is clear, no? Okay. Now we are going to see that the participation of women. See, in our history, if you are taking, women were confined to the homes. Their outside and political participation is very less. From earlier time onwards, the customs and their practices prevented them from coming out. But when there was a call from Gandhiji for civil disobedience, women in large numbers came out to participate in it. But Gandhiji was not having that much interest to take them in the movement. They told her, it's your duty to take care of the children and family. But still, women participated in the rallies as well as many Sarojini Naidu like that persons participated very active in the civil disobedience movement by breaking the salt, picking up the salt and all. So women participation is very active. They participate in protest marches, rallies, picketing of the shops, especially liquor shops and all. So all these things women participate. Okay? Any point you need to discuss? See, the attitude of males in our society, because our society is a male-dominated society. So there are certain type of beliefs in our society that okay, the condition or their life is to remain in the homes or confined to homes. Still, in the civil disobedience movement, we can see large number of women participating in the movement. So you asked about that movement during that time. So in your this thing, page 48 top is written. In April 1929, Bhagat Singh and Globalisation through bomb in the legislature circuit. Have you seen? So like that we can find that is some scattered activities. It was not a movement. It is scattered activities. Means different places. They did according to the wish. There was no mass agitation was there. Let's see the next part. Limits. What is the meaning of limits?
Most alternative. The most alternative.
Means in that some kind of restriction, limitations in the participation of the movement. Some sections did not participate actively. Whether it is non-cooperation movement or the civil disobedience movement, certain sections did not participate that much. Okay, in that first group is Dalits. Who are called as Dalits? Untouchables, or those people who are in the lowest strata of society. So what happened? We know that Dr. Ambedkar also belonged to that group. So what he did, he organized these groups into depressed classes. And there is another section who were called Sanatanis. What is that? Sanatanis. Sanatanis are the upper strata. Okay. So on one side we can see Dalits who were in the lower strata. On the other side, Sanatanis who were in the upper strata. So they are the extremes. So the movement, when it was active,
Sanatani is also a depressed class.
no. Sanatanis were the upper class. Okay, so that is why two extremes I told. This group is lower strata. This one is upper strata. Now we know that many of the people who belong to that Hindu Mahasabha, Indian National Congress and all, they were belonging to the upper class. So the caste restrictions did not allow them to support their movement. Only Mahatma Gandhi was the exception. He called these people as Harijans. Harijans means God's children. God's children. Hari means God. So God's children he called them. And he wanted to abolish the distinctions between these two groups. He himself, we all know that he himself cleaned that toilets. He carried his own luggage like that. So he don't want these people to be separate from the mainstream. But the person who experienced that untouchability from the childhood onwards was that person, Dr. Ambedkar. So he experienced it and he realized that this kind of differences will prevail if it is not ended. But the way he suggested was what the reservation. This was the suggestion he gave to make them equal or get them participation. Are you getting? So something like that you are a little bit somewhere. You have gone somewhere. Where are you? Something? Any problem in understanding? Attend properly so that because we are ahead in the school, it is not there. It will take a long time for the school to complete this work. So by the time if you are thorough with that, it will be easy for you. Okay. So what were the differences? Dalits were the Sanatanis. And they were at the extreme. So Gandhiji wanted to avoid that kind of differences, and we call the people as Harijans. But at the same time, Dr. Ambedkar formed them into depressed groups. Now, what was his solution? Reservation. Reservation in the legislative council and reservation in different areas so that they can also engage in.
Because first, that was totally different.
That only reservation way separate election can be there. No? That particular group should get the separate election. Otherwise, normally, देखो एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में सब लोग कंटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, उसमें रिच है और अपर क्लास है, उधर से एक ordinary person means here untouchable. Contest the election means who will vote. Normally, the vote go to the rich person. Or some people will vote for the upper class. Never this person will get a chance. So reserved constituency, that is what the reservation I talked here. So those people should get the constituency reserved for. Understood? Now, if only that constituency is reserved for that particular group, the others will think that you will not vote, you will not go for voting. This is reserved for untouchables. No, so others will not go. So Gandhiji told that this kind of differences should not be there. They should be brought to the mainstream of the society. अभी हम लोग जब रेस्टोरेंट में जाता है, इधर भी हम लोग जाता है, हमको मालूम नहीं है कौन है अनटचेबल. हम लोग एक ही प्लेस में हम मिलजुल के रहता है, करेक्ट और नॉट. So this is what they should be accommodated with the mainstream. That is what Gandhi thought. If you are doing only this people will vote for this people. So all of policy separate. So that is why Ambedkar's suggestion this means sorry. What is that? Separate electorate. No. This is otherwise actually or locally alike electorate. So at that time, there was an agreement, Pune Pact, 1932, no?
If the question comes, what was the ideology of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and what was the difference between ideology of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi? What would be?
So I'll tell you. Here I told you this Ambedkar thought that by giving reservation to those people, they will get participation. But Gandhi thought that they should be brought to the mainstream and get along with others. So we have to accommodate them. I mean, imagine I'm a scheduled caste. Imagine so I am a scheduled caste. So according to Ambedkar, they were separate electorate and I am participating along with only that. But Gandhi told that I should get along with you and tell me if I want to contest the election, you have to elect me. So that is why it is called accommodation. Got it? So here you can see the way the participation in the civil disobedience movement was therefore limited, particularly in Maharashtra and Nagpur region. The Dr. Ambedkar, who organized the Dalit Situate Depressed Class Association in 1930, clashed with Mahatma Gandhi at the second roundtable conference by demanding separate electorate vote. Okay, immediately British granted. उसको कुछ जाता ही नहीं है ना. So the British granted. Then what happened? When Gandhiji heard about that, Gandhiji began fast unto death. मैंने बोला उसको अलग अभी मेरे को अलग सेपरेट इलेक्शन के दे दिया तो मैं कम्युनिटी से अलग होके अभी हमारा जो ग्रुप करके वो लोग तो मेरे को इलेक्ट करेंगे. But Gandhiji's idea was that we should work together and you should understand that the scheduled caste to be elected because they also want the participation. So in your mind you have to feel that okay they should also be the part of. See the difference? Got it or not? Instead of keeping them separately, they should be brought to the mainstream. That is what Gandhiji's idea. Is it clear? Gandhiji and Ambedkar's idea. So he started fast unto death. Now what will happen? So the people will persuade Ambedkar to reach into a kind of agreement with the Mahatma Gandhi. Because I said later nationalism would end. So they persuaded Dr. Ambedkar to make an agreement with the Mahatma Gandhi. That agreement came to be known as Pune Pact. Accordingly, what was the condition? That separate electorate for the list slow down the process of the integration in the society. That is what Gandhi thought. अभी हमारे intention क्या है उसको mainstream में लाने का, अभी उसके लिए अलग अलग देखो, अगर शेड्यूल कास्ट आएगा तो वही रूम में पढ़नी है ना, तो मिलने के लिए तो चांस भी नहीं मिलता है, तो आप देखिएगा ना वो अलग है, उससे भी अलग है, तो आपके साथ आने के लिए मौका नहीं मिलेगा। So Gandhiji's intention was that to bring them also as a part of the society. So Gandhiji convinced Dr. Ambedkar, this is what my aim. I don't have any aim to separate them. So slowly they will be the part of the society. So what happened? Ambedkar ultimately accepted Gandhiji's position, and the result was the Pune Pact of September 1932. So which day? September. Okay. So it was an agreement between Gandhiji and Dr. Ambedkar regarding the separate electorate. So what was that? It gave the depressed classes, later on known as the scheduled caste, to serve seats in provincial and central legislative council, but they were to be voted in by general electorate. I mean, they were given separate electorate, but you have to elect. It is not like that separately all scheduled caste will elect that scheduled caste. No. General constituency, that person has to contest. And that general public has to elect. Clear? That
in a reserve constituency, other caste people can't vote.
no, everyone. We go. Some in our municipal corporation is there. Municipal corporation, what is that? Female reservation is there. I mean, I am telling about this year, 102 ward is for women. Okay. So that all the candidates will be women. All will be women. Go for that voting and they will elect any of that woman. Understood? And this thing 103 is general, that is male or female. So other females also can contest. But if women are elected, it is not reserved for women, but elect. Now, after that, next 5 years, this one, and then you will next turn to be a general one, and here it will be women constituency. Did you understand? So 50% reservation for women. So accordingly, they are changing. First 5 years, if this constituency is for women, and then next 5 years, it would be a general. So only women should be elected. So everyone can come and but male candidate not. If it is reserved. So the same is the case. If it is reserved means only elected. Means that is 5 candidates can contest, anyone elected. So everyone go to the polling booth and elect. Is it clear? Now what about the next section? Muslims. Muslims have a long history in the participation of the nationalist movement. Because Muslim League was formed. And for a long period, Muslim League and Congress worked together. Then they had a split. Then later on they worked. We have seen Khilafat 10 joined. But later, then after some time, Muslims separated. So like that, there is a hide and seek game like off and on. this Muslim participation was there. Clear? Later in the 30s, the Muslims alienated from Indian National Congress. They started thinking that they are different. They cannot assimilate with the Indian National Congress because Indian National Congress is constituted of Hindus. So there was a kind of ideological difference between the Muslims and the Hindus. So Gandhiji was trying to bring that unity, but still some of the Hindu Mahasabha leaders like Jaker or like that, these leaders are not interested to work with the Muslims. This is why that Muslims alienated. Otherwise, this problem is not the means India would not have divided. India would not have divided into two. The real force for the division is this one only. Yes. Read that part. Communism in India. No. Separate demands of Muslim. I will tell you, little more is also to be done. You just read it.
My history teacher told me that the Khilafat movement also gave the British a way to make communal politics.
See, actually, I have told you that time, Gandhiji wanted to unite Hindus and Muslims. So that Gandhiji met that Muslim leaders and told that we will support that movement. But everyone will not understand the aim behind it. If you are an ardent Hindu, means very much orthodox Hindu. So you will think that why I have to support the Muslim movement, what benefit I will get? Like that, many this means, Hindu leaders were not support, showing that Gandhi को दिखाता है तो हम लोग का okay है, but they never gave support. And when in 1921 and all some movements against the Muslims were there in some parts of the country, that is British started some movement, wagon tragedy, Malabar movement and rebellion and all. So when these movements were there, the Muslims began to feel that no, these people are not in support of our movement. So there was a kind of feeling in the mindset why we have to support a non-cooperation movement. It is not our movement. अभी टीचर ने बोला तुम दोनों एक साथ काम करने का. One example, one project is given. So you feel that she is enemy of you. And she feels he is enemy. Both of you cannot work. So what you will do, you will go and ask the teacher, can you change my partner? Yes, I want this person to work with me. So both of you will do. But teacher will think that no, I have assigned, you have to work together. अभी तुम दोनों को एक साथ काम नहीं कर सकता है, तुम्हारा प्रोजेक्ट कैसे आएगा? तुम्हारा इंडस्ट्री साथ में तुम करेगा, तुम्हारा इंडस्ट्री साथ से, दोनों का प्रोजेक्ट सक्सेसफुल नहीं होगा. This is what happened. Khilafat, okay. Non-cooperation movement, okay. But external communism. This kind of mutual distrust, एक दूसरे के ऊपर trust नहीं. That is what the reason. So that happened earlier and it continued. That is why I use the word on and off. Sometimes okay, sometimes not okay. They cannot work together. Then later on, what happened in 1935, Act was made. According to that Act, 1937 elections were held. Provincial elections were held. In that elections, what happened? Muhammad Ali Jinnah demanded that Muslim majority provinces to be reserved for them. But Indian National Congress was not in support of that. Afterwards, elections held, and all the, I think, 7 provinces were won by Indian National Congress. And even the northwestern frontier province, which is the majority of the state Muslim, that also won by Indian National Congress. This widened the gulf between Hindus and Muslims. Secondly, one more is that when the oath taking this thing day was observed as Deliverance Day. Means they don't want to support the Indian National Congress government. So a black day like that day we can do the observe, that is Muslim League. So there was wide gulf between Hindus and Muslims, or the Muslim League. Okay, you read it fast. Not understood, you can ask. It's your turn. No? You want to read this. No?
How about this Globalisation?
Amalgamated.
In last.
See, amalgamating is a condition to just bring together. Means they got differences are there. Mutual differences are there. So उसके अंदर हमारा एंटिटी कैसे शो कर सकता है, तो ये मिक्सअप नहीं कर सकता है, हम तो बड़ा है, वो ईगो का जो क्लैश होता है। अभी हिंदू सोसाइटी when it is taught, Hindu society itself is divided into so many castes and groups, isn't it? Caste differences are there. How it can assimilate with that one entity? So that is what all over the world, when the people are talking about, okay, this one we have to work together to establish one entity. But within that, so many, you are having the thali. Thali में अलग-अलग dishes रहता है. So you want to see that each one tastes differently. You cannot put everything together and so that is each one is having different flavors or taste. How is it possible to amalgamate or to unite? Got it clear? So there is difference within the Hindu community itself that is divided into caste and creed. Now, how is it possible?
Explain this
Communalism in India. Because it is not that Muhammad Iqbal, who is the okay. In 1930s, Muhammad Iqbal, as president of Muslim League, reiterated the importance of separate electorate as Muslims and then important safeguard for the minority political interest. We think that minorities nationally they are minorities. In order to establish their minority status, they need some reservation. Then only they can be the part. So Muslims demanded separate electorates for them. Next is that his statement is supposed to have provided the intellectual justification for Pakistan demand that came up in subsequent years. This was the beginning for the demand for separate country, separate nation. That is what in 1940 only two-nation theory was brought. So this happened in 1930. Means that time directly they did not demand for a separate nation. But this was the beginning. हम लोग minority है, हमको separate electorate चाहिए. That was happened in 1930. But it was stated, I have no hesitation in declaring that if the principle that the Indian Muslim is entitled to full and free development on the lines of its own culture and tradition, in his own Indian homeland is recognized as the basis of a permanent communal settlement, he will be ready to stake his all for the freedom of India. The Indian Muslim who is living in the country, having a culture of their own, religious beliefs of their own, if they wanted to become the part and parcel of the country and society, they should be given the status to be accepted. अभी देखो आप इधर रहता है, इधर आप आपका कल्चर ही फॉलो करता है, आपका रिलीजन फॉलो करता है, isn't it? In India, we are celebrating all the religious festivals. We are having different cultural integration. We are following. We are having different languages. Everything. Now we are assimilated into that. Understood that. But these people began to tell that if we are living in this land, following our separate culture, customs, and practices, then what to be done? I have no hesitation in declaring that if the principle of Indian Muslim is entitled to enjoy the full freedom, they should be given separate status. अभी हमारा ये फ्रीडम नहीं दिया तो हमको वो जो डेवलप करने के लिए नहीं दिया तो हम कैसे बोल सकते हैं हमारा फ्रीडम है करके. In this country we are following our customs and practices separately hiding. So freedom means we should be given that condition to express it. Now it is not given, it is limited, it is constrained. Okay. Now, what is that? The principle that each group is entitled to free development on its own lines is not inspired by any feeling of narrow communalism. If it is not given, they are following narrow communalism. It's my community, my religion, my faith, my this. So, if we want to have a feeling of nationalism, this narrow communalism से बाहर रहना चाहिए. So when you are invited for one, that is one of your friends' house. So सिर्फ friend होगा तो तुम्हारा freedom रहेगा. तो फ्रेंड का पेरेंट्स है, उसका रिलेटिव्स है, सब लोग रहेगा ना तो एक कॉलोनी बैठेगा और फ्रीडम नहीं रहेगा. Why? Because it is somebody's house and so many people are there and that restricts your freedom. This is what Muslims, they started feeling that it is not our country and we are not given that full freedom to exist. Got it? Next. A community which is inspired by the feelings of ill will towards other communities is low and ignoble. अभी वो जो community है that is not having good feeling towards the others, so it is not at all noble. It is not. It considers other people low. I have told you, when you are going to your friend's house and only you and that friend, means only friends are there, you feel freedom. But there are elders, you feel so much restrictions. So that is what happened to or what Muslims felt in India at that time. Clear? Next is that I entertain the highest respect for the customs, laws, religions, and social institutions of other communities. I am having respect to all these things. Namely, it is my duty, according to the teachings of Quran, even to defend their places of worship. So means it is according to Quran, that is others worship place also to be respected. If need be, that means if that others are not harming, it is to be respected. Otherwise, here comes that example of this thing, Babri Masjid demolition. The Babri Masjid is a masjid, and the Hindus demolished that one. So how much the feelings were hurt. So that is what each one is made to respect others or others' religious places or whatever. Clear? Now, yet I love the communal group, which is a source of life and behavior, and which has formed me what I am by giving me its religion, its literature, its thought, its culture, and thereby its whole past as the living operative factor in my present consciousness. He is proud to be a part of the community which he belongs. He is thinking that I am God because of my community. Yeah. Communalism in its higher aspect then is indispensable to the formation of harmonious thought in a country like India. So communalism in its higher aspect then is indispensable to the formation. Harmonious living career, it is unavoidable. Indispensable means unavoidable. Means that feeling to be there. Now, the units of Indian society are not territorial as in European countries. In European countries, French people, Dutch people, this Belgians, like that, the restrictions are there. In India, it is not bounded by territories. All the people are, that is what. The principle of European democracy cannot be applied to India without recognizing the facts of communal groups. So blindly we cannot introduce European democratic system in India without understanding the communal differences. Clear? In European countries, there will be only one section, one linguistic group, one religious group. So it's not a difficulty in such countries. But when the same thing is applied in India, without understanding the differences based on community, it's very difficult. Okay. Now, the Muslim demand for the creation of Muslim India within India is therefore perfectly justified. He is telling that Muslim period different nation is a justifiable thing. The Hindu thinks that the separate electorate are contrary to the spirit of true nationalism because he understands the word nation to be a kind of universal amalgamation in which the communal entity ought to retain its private individuality. That is what I have already told. That is, when we are constraining this one in that separate this individuality, ये मेरा feeling है, ये मेरा जगह है, मेरा community है. That way, if you are confining the things, it will be very difficult for the amalgamation. Okay. Then, afterwards, such a state of things somewhere does not exist. It is not possible. India is a land of racial and religious variety. Add to this the general economic inferiority of the Muslims. So now he claims that the Muslims are economically backward. So in order to bring to the development, the reservation, the specialization is required. And so they should be considered as a special group. Okay. I think that was only. Now we have to see the sense of collective belonging. See, this collective belonging did not come easily. Suddenly we cannot think that it is ours. It requires something which make us to work together. That is why Indian nationalism also emerged out of this so many activities or so many things. We know that I started with the nationalism is what? It's the feeling of pride. It is a feeling that oneness among the people. So all this did not come very easily. It came through different methods when we work together. Which are they? That is, in the minds of the people, that feeling has to come first. समझ में आ गया? हमको ये हमारा है ऐसा फीलिंग इसलिए नहीं आएगा. You just think that somebody gave you a thing which you like it. So it was given to you. So you will be very much doubtful or suspicious that whether it is given to me or not. सही है क्या? सच है क्या? मेरे को मुझे दिया है क्या? Means it is a kind of doubtful situation to come to reality. First, it's very doubtful, no? Very much doubtful whether it is given to you or not. And then afterwards, it is coming into reality. For coming into reality, the need is it is united struggle. First, it comes through united struggles. हमने पढ़ा which are the united struggles. Non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, satyagraha, sort of like that. So they work together. That is sort of the first part. Then another important one is that cultural processes. What is that? The cultural processes.
Integration of different cultures.
Say in India, when we are celebrating festivals or celebrating different things, we are working together. We did not have that difference. Say one example is going to be that the festival Holi. Holi is not celebrated in Kerala. Because when I came to Mumbai only, I came to know that this type of festival is there. So afterwards, when people began to move to different parts, they assimilate this kind of cultural things, and they also start celebrating. Certain sections began to celebrate. Now, if the other day we were having discussion that time only. Now, in Kerala, more than the Kerala, I think the Bengalis are there and other state people are there. So earlier, the boards of the buses were there in Malayalam. Now they started writing in Hindi also, so that these people can understand. So this is what we call integration of culture. Clear? Now next is that history and fiction. So 1, 2, 3. What is that? What does this mean? Say we have a long history to remember from Indus Valley civilization to the present day, we have so many stages to remember. Fiction is that story. Next one is that folklore and songs. Ancient times, so many such stories prevailed in some area, peculiar areas and stories. The other day we have studied about Alluri Sitaram Raju. Still the people remember about that person. So like that, this kind of folklore passed from generation to generation. The songs also passed from generation to generation. So this also inspired the people. Okay. Next is that popular prints and symbols. Something united the people. Print means printed work. Printed work. Then books. The literature. Yes. So this is what another important thing. Symbol. Symbol. What is symbol? National symbol. National symbols are the flags. Then Bharat Mata. All these concepts also united the with I explain that part. Then our points of view. These all things helped in making nationalist feeling. In that, see, when a country is to be identified, what way you can identify that country? Flag. First, when we are seeing that a flag, oh, ये अल्जीरिया का flag है, ये फ्रांस का flag है, ये इंडिया का flag है. So, one will identify that nation with is the flag. Okay. Another thing, stamps are there, isn't it? On the stamp also the country का कुछ represent. So, nationalism in Europe you have studied. That is last year French Revolution you have studied about Germany. Have you studied about French Revolution that time in Germany and Marian and Germany. They were considered. Marian is considered as the national listing of France. Germany for German. So they have certain symbolic representation. So this kind of symbols are also identify help in identifying the nation. Okay. Now for that, in order to represent that country, they use symbols or images. What they are using? Symbols or images. अभी हम लोग कुछ अशोका स्तंभ. So that gives us that in our currency coins also we can find that image. Coins have you seen? One side it is there now. So this we can identify many things from it. By seeing that image, we get to know about so many things. So this is how it all developed. In 20th century, when the nationalism developed, the first concept which united the people is the image of Bharat Mata. Bharat Mata. How this Bharat Mata concept developed? It was the picture drawn based on the book Anand. Bankim Chandra Chakrabarty's book Anand. From there, that picture is drawn. That is what is that we know that what is the concept of a nation included in that book. With that, a design is made. It is the imagination of the person who drew it. Okay. Now, you know that from this book only Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram is the national song. When this national song was sung, we feel that a kind of pride towards the nation. Now, another thing is that Swadeshi movement, Abanindranath Tagore painted his famous image of Bharat. How this painting? Who painted? Abanindranath Tagore. What was the thinking of this one? It is portrayed as ascetic figure, sannyasini figure. Figure of a sannyasi. And what is that? The face is that calm, composed, divine, and spiritual. 4 characters. Calm, composed, divine, and spiritual. But at the same time, this one is getting transformed. We, you people heard about that is the puja time, Durga Puja is. So, which goddess? Goddess Durga or Kali. Kali is considered as a destructive person. Okay. But at the same time, there is the image of Saraswati, goddess Saraswati. Goddess Saraswati is for knowledge. Goddess Lakshmi is there. It is the goddess of prosperity. So these all the female figures. Now, all the features have to be included in that image. But the goddess is one. But these all aspects are to be included. Now, you see that how many hands are there? 4, 6, okay. 4 hands. So that means a woman in the home also work as if she is having 4 or 8. How many hands are there? Means all the aspects are included in that figure. The characteristic is calm, composed. At the same time, all the different things have to be mingled in it. That is why this concept of Bharat. But later on, this Bharat Mata got diversified. See, in my school days, I have seen when dance dramas and all are made. What they used to, a lotus is made. Inside the lotus, one female character is to stand, and she is holding that Indian flag. Understood? So lotus stands for that. Then another thing that person dressed in white. White stands for purity. So then this one national flag. So what is this? All the aspects are brought in that. So this is how it is all the imagination of the people. So if you are asked to draw Bharat Mata, you will think about and you will imagine and draw in one way. She will draw in another because I'm poor and all. So, but I can guide you. You include this thing. You should include this also. So like that, I can guide you. So means it is the viewpoint and imagination of the person. Accordingly, various aspects are involved. Got it? Now next is that movement to revive Indian folklore. Say, one we have seen that folklore and songs. It ended with one generation, and people started collecting that folk stories and folk songs and all began to combine. When you this thing, when you were in nursery classes or KG classes, you learned Baba, Black Sheep, Happy Bull. So, do you have any relation with the Indian culture there? No. You are reading the story of Alice in Wonderland. Do it have any connection with the Indian life? So people began to rewrite the old one by collecting that, going to places and collect and combine it. It gave a kind of development in the
Sense of pride.
pride. Okay, so अभी देखो हम लोग story बनाते हैं the foreign type of stories, that person, that girl or like that, escaped in a vehicle. So it can be any type of vehicle. But Indian child who is living in the village areas, he cannot imagine about such a vehicle. To that person, if you are telling the story that he was saved by making him use it in a pumpkin. So child can imagine वो बड़ा सा pumpkin के अंदर उसको घुसाया तो उसको save कर दिया. मतलब story is developing like that. So means that the concept can be easily understood to that. But वो गाड़ी के बारे में कुछ अता पता नहीं. So stories are related to that particular regions and customs and all. So the revival of folk stories and songs. Who combined it? What was that? That all things are given. Now next is through icons and symbols. What is that icon? Icon is like a flag. It symbolizes the country. Okay. Now, how these national flags have developed? In the initial stage, there was a flag, Swadeshi flag. It was also a tricolor flag, but the color was different. Red, green, and yellow. What was that Swadeshi flag? Red, green, and yellow. And another thing, this flag consists of 8 lotuses representing 8 provinces. So, what was the color of that flag? Red, green, yellow, and it was having 8 lotuses, and this 8 lotuses represent 8 provinces. Clear? That was called during the time of Swadeshi. Swadeshi movement was in 1905. Partition of Bengal. Okay. Now next is that in 1921. This one 8 lotuses and a crescent moon. Crescent shaped moon. This crescent is for Muslims, and in that is a star represent that what is that Hindus. So Hindus and Muslims. So that this all things were there in the Swadeshi flag. Skip बाद in 1921 another flag was developed. It was designed by Gandhiji. That flag was having, it was called a Swaraj flag. It is also having tricolor, red, green, and white. So red, green, yellow का place में white. And yellow is, see, before that, before using that kumkum color, that is saffron color, yellow stands for that kind of what is that, a devotion, like that. Sacrifice and all. So it was related to that only. Indian, what is that, customs and practices based on the religious beliefs. Okay. Here, red, green, and white. In that white, you can see in the middle part, there was charka. Charka. Charka was that is self-reliance. Means, we can depend upon others. So charka is used for weaving the rope. So everyone should depend upon themselves. Self-reliance is that symbolically represented with what? Charka. Now we know that afterwards 3 colors are there. This one is, top is saffron. Saffron is for sacrifice. Second, middle, white. And this one is green. Okay. White is for purity and peace. Green is for prosperity. And in this thing, that in the middle, wheel is there. The wheel is having spokes, 24 spokes. It is for movement. The wheel is always in motion. So we have to work for progress. That is what the later development. So 3 stages of icons you understood. Now the last is that through reinterpretation of history. So we have seen that history and fiction. We have to go back to our history and feel proud of it. You should be proud of our ancient culture, the sacrifices made by our great freedom fighters or others. All these things were brought back. That is what reinterpreting history. So we have a long history and we should be proud of that history. And then British, when they came, they branded Indians as uncivilized. But we should be proud of our culture. We know that India invented zero decimal system. Scientifically, many great inventions were made by Indians. So why should we look backward or uncivilized? So we should be proud of our culture, our contributions, our history and all. So we start reinterpreting it. Instead of backward looking means uncivilized, that one. We have to think about we are something which we have to be proud of. So that proud feeling we reach to the feeling of nationalism. Clear? Now, so many glorious events we have to remember about. Another thing is that it is not very easy to bring that unity. अभी हमारा मन में तो differences है, तो कितना भी कोशिश करेगा तो भी वो difference से रहेगा. तो अभी देखो मैंने तुम्हारे पास एक दूसरे एक लड़के को बिठाया you don't like that person. So what you will do? Either you go to that corner. Then is also means you cannot adjust with that. You try to push that person any way out. You cannot do it directly because I have made. You show all your anger, all your hatred in your attitude. So that is what happened in India. Bringing the unity was not an easy process. It made so much difficult process, or it was established through difficult processes. And another thing is that everything which was made to be proud of with suspicion. So now when you see that national, that one, all these things, many of the things are taken from Hindu gods, Hindu icons. Why the others icons are not taken? That way, people began to be suspicious about all this. Now, another thing is that why this, when we are celebrating the festivals, why more festivals are from Hindus? So that is why it did not come easily, it all came with a greater difficulty. Okay. Now the lesson is over. I have to give you some questions. See, I am just asking. See, now I got from history part. Political culture is given. So whether we have to start with the power sharing or this one history status. Power sharing. So I have to intimate that so that the lesson can be included in that. Yes. So that lesson, the history lesson is coming very much last. This power sharing will be in the beginning. Then the test also will come. Okay. So next day probably power sharing will be there. Okay. Next week Monday will be having. Okay, that book you gave to us. Sense of collective listening. You can do that one. Say, third question come. Because we include the source based questions.
Page 61.
Page 61 to 70. Okay. But you do that one or that 5 mark of you which you feel that important. And this one 3 mark also. Source based is for 4 mark. Like that. Which you feel unimportant. Don't spend much time on that. Okay. 4 o'clock, no?
Yes, yes.
Your class is up to 4, right?
Yes, 4.
How understood the lesson?
Yes.
Nicely. Any doubt? No. Okay, no. Keep it done, no?
They